What's going on, YouTube? So, Nightdive Studios, the legends who have been bringing back classics such as Turok and System Shock, gave us yet another fantastic year with 4 classics seeing the light of day again, along with quality of life that makes these titles play much more playable than they used to play on old hardware. That's for sure. I've been playing the GOG versions of these games, and no buenos on some of them. You gotta like remap controls and shit. I can't stand it when you gotta do that for games. But I digress. There's some great and slightly ugly about these titles, so I figured I'd end the year diving into and talking about these great old titles Nightdive presented us this year. Leave a like and hit the sub button if you enjoyed the video, as I'll be doing more, but for now, let's dive into it. Gotta love that intro. So the first game we're gonna be covering, The Thing Remastered, based on the 1982 movie, came out around 2002. Actually sold well from what I looked into, despite reviews hating on some of the mechanics. John Carpenter himself even has a small cameo and helped write for the game, at least I believe. It's supposed to be a proper sequel to the movie, so. Nightdive has been adding these features called vaults with most of these remasters, letting you see cool things like art and the way things were made. It's pretty legit. The game follows Kat and Blake leading a team to check out what happened to the research team from the movie.
What do you see?
Not a goddamn thing in this storm.
Have you found anything?
Well, your transmitter's down and everything else is foobar.
It has some pretty interesting, especially for the time, mechanics such as a cold meter, the ability to command squad members, and kind of command them to do certain things. Like some of them are engineers, some of them are medics. Another mechanic that takes from the movie a little bit is these blue lights that lead from place to place, from when they had to set them up in the cold.
What the hell?
What do you think it is, Captain?
I don't know and I don't care.
Looks like a goddamn UFO to me.
Pierce's team is in trouble. Besides, if there are any survivors, I'm the only one on the team that speaks Norwegian. Blake out.
Blake, where'd you come from?
I received some partial transmissions from Pierce. It sounded like there was a problem.
Shit, you got that right. We got ambushed by these things. I don't know where they came from, man. Everybody lost it.
Hold it.
Eventually you run into Pierce, who
it's
tries to
Blake.
fry her head
It's
off
okay.
instantly.
Put your weapon down.
No
Kind of
way.
the movie,
You're
everyone gets
infected just like
paranoid.
all the others.
I'm not.
Your word ain't
He
shit,
asks you to
Captain.
take a blood test just like in the movies. So shortly after you go on a quest to do all that. And it's kind of the beginning setup for everything. And with blood kits after this mission, you'll end up finding them around and have to like test the squad as you find them. Sometimes squad members can be the creatures. Another thing is the fear system. So if your people get too feared, they actually end up turning. It's kind of weird.
Now, I've got access, but I ain't going nowhere with all those things out there. You kill them, and I'll help get us out of here.
Gameplay overall is pretty smooth. The guns handle pretty decent. I mean, it's just kind of hip fire, and you can go in first person, but it's kind of useless. But your main guns are going to be your SMG and shotgun. And as soon as you get a hold of the flamethrower, you're going to have to use it on these bigger creatures to flame them out, just like in the movies. It's the only way to take them down. Shotgun was my personal favorite, but there's also stuff like grenades, incendiary grenades, and even a fire extinguisher for when she gets a little hot and heavy. Surprising, there's actually a decent variety of enemies, like these like gray bear looking ones, the little ones, the medium ones, and hell, there's even some bosses, which I totally passed the first time. Not too many glitches, but there was definitely one permanent one where every time I would switch from first person to third person a few times, it would make me lose my head. And then this one where I just could not walk in the snow, and I couldn't make it to shelter. But the game never broke terribly or anything. Played pretty smooth the whole time. Hell, I didn't even realize it even starts turning kind of like a Call of Duty campaign towards the end. You're shooting soldiers, you got a timer you gotta run it from, you gotta plant some C4. Oh, and I almost forgot. There's a grenade launcher.
Now tell me what you know.
Check out that terminal. I can't figure it out.
Nightdive was on it with the 3DO remasters this year. So PO's a 1995 kind of weird, interesting shooter that came out on the 3DO. As you can tell from the difficulty levels, it's kind of quirky and goofy. Ain't meant to be taken serious. Doesn't have the craziest story. The story's pretty much just a chef helps these mercenaries take aliens out. Yeah, something like that. So you start the game off as any PUBG chef would, with a frying pan in hand, and just start going ham on monsters. Yeah, there's all kind of different melee weapons, from frying pans to knives to drills. Drill is my personal favorite. So this is the first shooter I can recall that has like an equipment system. You get these running shoes, you get a jetpack, you gotta click the buttons, kind of weird to activate them, but it works. I can only imagine the controls on 3DO, let alone PS1. Probably a tad janky. I think my personal favorite takeaway from the game is how different the levels are. Like, each level is pretty much never the same. It does get a little frustrating at times because it's always different exits and different ways to get to the exits. Like, sometimes you gotta take out the most random enemies. Has some interesting pickups to find. Like this right here is an infinite jetpack wheel. And there's ammo packs and like health packs that like permanently upgrade your stuff, but admittedly I never found one. I scrubbed. Only crazy glitches I ran into was this one where I kept spawning into these ass eaters. Another one where it would crash every time I would try to save. Other than that, it ran pretty good on the Xbox. Steady 60 frames and all that. Another crazy aspect about this game is the enemy variety. You got your little robot ass eaters, I call them. Got your red-eyed smoke clouds. You got your big giant dudes, flying robots, all kind of shit. The biggest assholes are these medium-sized robot guys who catch you up, and also turrets whenever they're sitting around on certain levels. Gank your ass quick. My personal favorite weapon in the game is the flamethrower. It's just fun to use on the bats, the goobers, and the pussy face monsters. You do gotta watch out though, for sure, because it's not the best weapon, and it can get you caught up. Star Wars Dark Forces. They finally remastered this after all these years. I hope Nightdive gets to remaster the whole series at one point, because all the Dark Forces games are actually pretty great. Everything from the music, art style, even a decent little story going on here. You play as Kyle Katarn, a mercenary who works with the rebels and eventually takes on Jango Fett in the game. It's nothing super crazy, but the briefings before the mission give you extra details around the story, and levels are cool, intricate, keep it to a Star Wars tone. The old tone, at least. The weapon wheel you have is pretty extensive on here. You got your standard pistol blaster, got the, what is it, C930 or something like that from the movies. You even got this crazy ass like shockwave shotgun. That's definitely one of my favorites. And also good old grenades.
Stop where you are.
Another badass feature this game has that honestly all remastered games need to take away from the original Halo Combat Evolved 20th Anniversary collection, where you could just change out the graphics. So yeah, this has a mode where you can kind of see how the old graphics look. I say every remaster needs this. Level design ranges anywhere from sewers to abandoned cities to Empire bases. Another mechanic that was kind of different for the time for shooters was actually a live system. So you had like 3 lives to complete each level, or else you had to reset. Luckily on the remaster there's a manual save.
I'm currently
partly off the rocky coast of Maine, heading toward the island of Matinicus, alone. My Egyptology professor, Dr. Hargrove, was always recounting his trips to northern Africa in the 1930s, and his search for a mystical water clock from the dynasty of the Pharaoh Ramses. The clock supposedly had powers to grant everlasting life. Claimed he found it once, but whatever Hargrove found mysteriously disappeared after a visit by the expedition's patron, Tess Conway. I've picked up the trail where Hargrove left off. It has led me to heiress Tess Conway's island estate. Tess was obsessed with the occult. Her greed drew her toward Duncan DeVries, a debonair two-bit smuggler. In its heyday, the Conway estate hosted wild, extravagant parties. It has been deserted for decades. Tess and her society friends disappeared in 1932 on the night of the summer solstice. I'm just getting my first glimpse of the house. The weather's getting worse, but I'm almost ashore. I fear my life may be in danger, but I have come prepared. That's strange. My watch has stopped.
Oh, Killing Time. Yet another 3DO resurrected game. I really like the vault on this one because it actually has the music, like you can play each song. No other Nightdive remaster does that. This is probably the most horror movie-esque shooter that I've ever played, I'll say.
I'm gonna need you down at the dock tonight. We're expecting another shipment of arms.
Well, boss, where am I gonna put all this stuff? I mean, the storage room is almost full. I can't even walk in there.
Guess you'll just have to stash it around the grounds.
So you start off like the good old Freeman, the pistol and crowbar in hand. And you just travel the island trying to figure out what's going on and activating cutscenes and shooting and beating up monsters and ghosts.
Help me. Help me. Please. Gather my spiritual essence from the different symbols which lie around this island.
Before you enter into the main mansion, you have to walk the grounds and try to look for the RSVP, and that's when you find out how truly big this island is. Arsenal's not super crazy, but it gets the job done. Got your submachine gun, shotgun, dual pistols, and you have these things called wing vessels that are like power-ups that give you stuff like speed boost, more damage for a while, unlimited ammo, all that good stuff.
Welcome to the Conway Estate.
Enemy variety stays pretty vast for sure. There's demon chicks, there's zombie maid chicks, there's zombie groundkeepers, zombie dogs, red mist ghost faces, and for those of you that just love clowns out there, you got your good old scary clowns.
First look up and then look down. Never play with a naughty clown.
What a curious thing. What do you suppose it means?
Felicia, don't you know anything? It's for playing shuffleboard.
It's actually pretty wild just how many cutscenes they really added to this game, and like how in depth the story gets. So it's definitely the most horror themed shooter game I've ever played.
You have gathered together enough of my spirit so that I can communicate, but we must hurry.
If anything, the game definitely does a good job at presenting an atmosphere. You really feel like you're this dude just stranded on this island with these creatures and this crazy lady. Would love to start seeing more classic shooters like these get remade, especially classics like Eradicator. Only time will tell though what Nightdive brings to us next. Well, that's it for the video. Much love and stay spooky, YouTube. I'll see y'all in the next one.